Greetings everyone, and welcome to another Fright Night Friday horror movie Blu-ray update. Got kind of a special one this week because it's a pair of box sets that are out of print, and I was kind of lucky to get both of them. Also, they both kind of share a thematic similarity in that they're both about haunted houses, but very different kinds of haunted houses. I am a sucker for a good haunted house story. It's always been one of my favorite genres ever since I was a kid. I don't know, just something about ghosts in your house, I guess. I don't know what it is about it specifically that appeals to me, but it's a genre I've always loved. So, yeah, a pair of haunted house movie box sets today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. So this first one is from Scream Factory, and Scream Factory is pretty good about letting you know when certain titles are going out of print. They actually have a list on their website that tells you which titles are going out of print imminently, and this one was on the list, and I thought, I've been kind of eyeballing that set for a while. I hope I haven't missed out on it. So I rushed over to Amazon as soon as I heard the news, and thankfully there was still a few left in stock at regular price, so I was able to snag it before it was gone forever and fetching exorbitant collector's prices. I'm of course talking about the classic, based on a true story, horror trilogy, the Amityville Horror. Yes. I do still have my old DVD set, which I think I've shown you guys at some point, which has the first three movies, much like this, but it also has a fourth disc that has a couple of History Channel documentaries about the real story behind the movie story and the supposed actual hauntings. As to whether or not you believe the story, well, that's entirely up to you. But they make for interesting spooky tales anyway. But yeah, this was one, the original Amityville Horror, of course, I remember seeing the ads for it all the time as a kid. And, you know, as a kid, when you see ads for horror movies, the ads alone, like the trailers alone, scare the crap out of you. And this one was no exception. I just kept seeing the image of the house and how the house kind of looks like a face. Almost, you know, like it has those two windows in the upper floor that look like eyes. Like it looks like a face. It was a very striking design, and yeah. So of course, it wasn't until years later I finally saw the movie and thought it was pretty good. But yeah. So anyway, I picked up the DVD set of the trilogy a while back, and I think the first one of the Amityville movies I actually saw was. Might have been Amityville 4, The Repossession, I think. Was that the one? Was that The Repossession? I think it was. Yeah, because Amityville 2 is The Possession. Amityville 4, I think, was The Repossession. Anyway, there was one they did as a TV movie, and that was the first one I saw because it was a TV movie, so it was scary, but not too scary because it was TV. So, of course, things were watered down, especially back in the 80s. On network television. And then later I think I saw Amityville 3D on TV at some point. Not in 3D, of course, but yeah. And then finally I saw the first two. I think it might have been when I bought the DVD set, actually, that I finally saw the first two. The first one I thought was really good. The second one was okay, but some of the subject matter I found really disturbing and a little off-putting. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But then again, it's supposed to be, because it's supposed to give you the backstory of the murders that took place there and everything leading up to it. And it is not a pretty story. Basically, the murders that led to the haunting that the family in the first movie encounters. So it's a prequel, basically. But and then the third one happens later. There was another box set that Vinegar Syndrome recently put out that had the 4 direct-to-video sequels that call them the Cursed Object sequels, because I don't think any of them actually take place in the haunted house. They're about items that were in the house that carried the curse with them. You know, which is interesting. If that set ever becomes widely available, I wouldn't mind picking it up just out of curiosity, because I haven't seen any of those. But well, I guess the TV movie one's in there somewhere. But anyway, it'd be nice to have those just for completion's sake. But honestly, the original trilogy, these are the best ones. These are the good ones. These are the ones that actually take place in the house and are good old-fashioned haunted house stories. So, aside from that bonus disc that the DVD set had, there wasn't much in the way of extras. I think the first movie had some extras, but the second and third were basically bare bones. So I really wanted to get this Scream Factory set, not only to have the movies in high def, but to actually have some behind-the-scenes stuff for the other two. And yeah, so let's take a quick look here. I'll slide each one out of the box, and we'll take a look at them just kind of quickly here and see what kind of extras they've got. Okay, here we go. The Amityville Horror Trilogy. You know, it's not a hard box or anything. It's a fairly flimsy box that just holds the 3 keep cases. And there we go. So as you can see, each one does have a few special features, which is good. I don't think the 3D one only has the theatrical trailer. Woohoo! Anyway, so I'll just take them out and I'll show you. So yeah, this is like a really flimsy box, but whatever. Who cares? So here we got the original. For God's sake, get out! Starring James Brolin and Lois Lane. Margot Kidder, who was, I guess, only a year or 2 off of Superman at this point. When did this come out? It was 1979. So this is the year after she did Superman. And then if we open it up, yeah, so we have some, well, actually, hold on. So we got some nice disc art there. Why are we not seeing? There, just gonna get the angle right. Anyway, and then basically just some pictures from the film and a few alternate posters. I won't bother taking it all out. I'm probably going to do a more in-depth, closer look at this at some point. So I thought it would be fun to kind of compare it to the DVD set that I have. So then we have Amityville 2, The Possession. Indefensively inappropriate and oh so much fun. Excellent. And then here we go. So very nice disc art on these, I have to say. And then there we go. Again, just some photos from the film in there. Finally, Amityville 3D, which we actually have in 3D on home video for the first time, which is pretty cool. And it has both the 2D and 3D version on the same disc, so there you go. And there we go. Yeah, so it's fun. I mean, it's not, I don't think, as classy as the first two, but it's more kind of schlocky, but it's fun. It's good schlock, you know. And there we go. So the Amityville Horror Trilogy. So there you go. So pretty nice. And as I say, also pretty notable in that we actually get Amityville 3D in 3D for the first time since it was in theaters. So that's pretty cool. Of course, you need a Blu-ray player with a high-speed HDMI cable and a 3D capable TV or VR system or something to be able to watch it in 3D, but it's there if you've got the equipment. So that's pretty cool. Alrighty, so next up, I guess we can actually stand these up because they're box sets. That one's not standing up very well. It got a little crunched on the bottom in the mail, so there, okay. So next up is another one that has actually been out of print for a while. I actually did not think I was ever going to get it. I just stumbled across a listing on Amazon totally by chance. And it's a third-party seller that I've dealt with before that deals with a lot of out-of-print UK Blu-ray releases and DVD releases and stuff like that. And I've got a lot of stuff from them in the past. They're actually quite good, quite reliable. A seller called Rare Waves. And pretty sure they're based in the UK because all their titles are UK titles. But they have storefronts in different countries. So I go through the Canadian one and get stuff from them periodically. So I check them once in a while just to kind of see what they've got. And they had this particular set that I had already basically resigned myself to thinking that I was never going to get it. This is an Arrow video set of 4 movies. Now, there was a North American release as well that only had the first 2 of the 4 movies. The third and fourth one they couldn't release here because some kind of rights issue. I think Scream Factory actually has the rights to the third one, and the fourth one, who the frick knows. But the interesting thing was the UK release that contains all 4 movies is actually region-free. So it doesn't matter if you've got a region-free player or not. You could order the UK version and get all 4 movies and still be able to watch them. I'm of course talking about House, the collection. So yeah, this is the version that has all 4 movies. So this one is long out of print, tends to go for collector's prices. Rare Waves had it for regular price. So it's about 64 bucks, I think, Canadian, which is a steal for this. I mean, that works out to what, like $16 a movie? I mean, come on, that's ridiculously cheap. So even though it says Region B on the third and fourth movies, they are actually region free. So if you have like a PlayStation 4, you can pop them in there and watch them, no problem. I don't know about the PlayStation 3. I haven't tested on those, but anyway, yeah. So this has all 4 movies. This one was kind of special for me because I watched the first 2 movies quite a bit as a kid. I really enjoyed them. When did they come out originally? Does it say here? I don't know if it says. Let me just take a look. First one was 1985, yeah, and the second one I think was 87? 87, yeah. So I would have been 13 when the first one came out, and then 15 when the second one came out. So I was starting to watch a little bit more, you know, gutsy horror stuff by that point. I was 13 when I first saw the first Nightmare on Elm Street. But I really enjoyed these. I mean, they're basically kind of PG-13 horror, but 80s PG-13. So it's got a little bit more oomph to it than today's PG-13. But I really liked it because the first one stars William Katt, who of course I knew from Greatest American Hero, which I used to watch all the time as a kid. So to me it was a lot of fun seeing him in a horror movie. It also co-stars Richard Mole, who was who played Bull in Night Court, so I was a little bit familiar with him from that. I had also seen him in Rage War, also known as the Dungeon Master, where he played the evil sorcerer Mestima, so I was not unaccustomed to seeing him as a villain. And it also co-starred George Wendt as William Katt's neighbor, who of course I knew as Norm from Cheers. So it's very much it's from Sean S. Cunningham, who was the producer of the Friday the 13th movies, but it's not a straight up horror movie like the Friday the 13th movies. No, the thing that's fun about the House movies is they're a little bit tongue in cheek. They kind of have some dark humor to them. They're almost horror comedies. I wouldn't say comedy horror. I would say more horror comedy, meaning kind of like American Werewolf in London, how it's a horror movie, but it has funny things that happen. Same thing with the House movies. They are horror movies, but they have funny things that happen. So, aside to differentiate it from a comedy horror, which is a straight up comedy with, you know, goofy horror elements to it. It's very different. So yeah, these are more horror comedies. And then the second one is a fairly direct sequel, and guest stars John Ratzenberger, who of course was Cliff Clavin on Cheers. So it was like the Cheers cast does horror, you know, it's just over the course of the series. The third one was basically a sequel in name only. It was also known as The Horror Show. I think it was only known as The Horror Show here. Overseas it was marketed as House 3. And then House 4, The Repossession. Okay, I'm getting my haunted house titles mixed up. I thought Amityville 4 was The Repossession. No, it's House 4. Anyway, House 4, The Repossession, I saw on home video many years later, and it featured the return of William Katt to the series. But this is a really fun series. I liked it a lot. Lots of great practical effects in it. Some good scares, some good suspense, but also very funny and incredibly entertaining. I'd say the third one, The Horror Show, is the most straight-up horror. I don't even know why they called it House 3, because it's not even remotely related. I've always considered House 4 to be more the direct sequel to House 2. But anyway, it's great to have all four of them in high definition, because as I say, here in North America we got a cut down box set which just had the first two. So yeah, so if you luck out and find this online, you know, it's worth getting because it gets you the other two movies. So I mean, I guess you can get up to House 3 because you can get The Horror Show from Scream Factory with different extras, obviously. But you'd still be missing House 4, which is the conclusion to the saga. But great stuff. So let's take a quick look here. There's quite a lot of material on here. I won't do like a full closer look here, but we'll just kind of take a brief look. You can pause it if you want to look closer at the extras and whatnot. There's quite a lot of stuff in here. So yeah, see now, this is an example of how Arrow is better than Scream Factory. Nice hard box, the way box sets should be. House the Collection. You can see all four of them there, and then enter at your own risk. And you can see like piles of special features for each one. Yeah, it's great. And then Arrow uses these nice classy clear cases as well, which I really like. Let's take a look at each one here. So here we have, this is the newly commissioned artwork for it. It's very nice. List of special features. Now, inside, well, we have this, the game, which is probably out by now because this is an older release. And then just another ad for Arrow stuff. And then nice disc art. And then inside, we actually do have a reversible cover, which has the original movie poster, which is very cool. This is the poster I remember from when I was a kid. Yeah, so very nice. And the second one, there is House 2, the second story. It's getting weirder. Yep, definitely. Frightening strikes twice. Oh, I get it. They spelled frightening like lightning. See? Get it? yeah, anyway. So once again, very nice disc art. And then I'll just slide it out again here for you. So then here we have the original artwork, House 2, the second story. It's getting weirder. It's an all-new house with brand new owners. Very cool. Again, that's the poster that I most remember. There was another one I thought also, like a more of a like a character poster, but I don't. I guess they didn't get that one, or they just didn't have enough covers that they could put it all on. If I find it, here it is. See? Look. That's the poster I was thinking of. I think I saw this poster in like a comic book ad. They would often have full page ads for movies and comic books that were just the poster with the release date. And I'm pretty sure that's where I saw this one a lot. Or it might have been in one of those free magazines they give away at movie theaters. One of the two, possibly both. Anyway, carrying on, we have House 3, The Horror Show, which, as I said, was just released here as The Horror Show. And Scream Factory actually released it over here as The Horror Show. So this one also, this one has Brian James and Lance Henriksen in it. House 3, The Horror Show. And then here, this is a poster we never saw over here. Because it was never marketed as House 3 here. This time we're not kidding. Which is true. I mean, this one is very much not as much a comedy as the other two were. Well, I don't want to say comedy. They're not as tongue-in-cheek as the other two were, but yeah, as I say, it's more just a straight-up horror movie. A lot of people have equated it to Wes Craven's Shocker, because it's kind of a similar idea. It's about a killer that is electrocuted but doesn't die, comes back for revenge kind of thing, kind of like Shocker. And they both came out around the same time too, so I don't know why there was this thing about this trend of killers being electrocuted and coming back for revenge as a trope in horror movies at the time. And then finally we have House 4, The Repossession. Not Amityville, The Repossession. That was something else that I'll try to remember. And there you go. This one I saw it a couple of times. I remember renting it. I was like, what? They did another House movie? And I was terribly confused at the time. So I was like, why is it House 4? And then I read somewhere that The Horror Show was considered House 3. And I'm like, okay. But it was like nothing like any of the other movies. And there is the poster for House 4. Step inside. You're frightfully welcome. All new adventure with a unique blend of suspense, humor, and drama that made the original House a worldwide favorite. Yeah, see, this was kind of an attempt to go back to the format that people were accustomed to from the previous two movies. And it was okay. I mean, I haven't seen it in a very long time. I vaguely remember it being okay, but not as good as the first two. So, I look forward to seeing them again. And there we go. And once again, nice sturdy box. There we go. Love these clear cases. Very nice. So glad that I managed to get my hands on this. I can't even begin to tell you how happy this makes me. And there you go. So House, the Collection. The definitive release of the House movies. So I'm starting to get pretty close to having covered most, if not all, of the significant horror movies from my youth, which is really nice, you know, to be able to revisit all of those. This was a huge favorite of mine. I watched the first two quite a bit. The first one especially. I lost count of how many times I rewatched that. I just loved it. And yeah, it's great stuff. And then finally facing the childhood fear of seeing all those scary trailers and newspaper ads and seeing the Amityville horror. Good stuff. Oh, and I have seen the Ryan Reynolds remake of Amityville Horror, by the way, which, you know, was okay. I mean, it was basically a pretty straight-up remake of the original, but honestly, I think the original's better. It wasn't, you know, it was before Ryan Reynolds really kind of found his niche doing more comedy-type stuff. He was just kind of branching out and doing whatever, I guess, to build his career. I don't think it's one of his better movies. But, I mean, he's fine in it, but it just isn't anywhere near as good, I don't think. Do I even still have that? I don't even know if I still have that one. I might have sold it. But, yeah, I'll probably pick it up again at some point just for completion's sake. Reevaluate, maybe do a review or something. Anyway. Alrighty, well, that is it for this week's Blu-ray updates for Fright Night Friday. Hope you enjoyed. Definitely a couple of cool additions to the collection that I was concerned I wasn't even going to be able to get. Alrighty, so that is it from me to you for now. So thank you very much for watching. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors. As always, I will include Amazon links in the description on the off chance that you can get a good deal on these, so keep an eye on those. And as always, thank you very much for using my links because it does help to support the show. Be sure to catch me on Twitch. I stream just about every day. And I'll see you next time. Until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara. Okay, so a couple of minor corrections here. It turns out I was slightly mistaken. The version of the house set I got is not, in fact, the out-of-print, highly sought-after, super expensive limited edition version that I thought it was. Limited edited? Anyway, it's this version here, which is basically a re-release version from last year, which just contains the 4 movies. Now, as far as I know, all of the on-disc content is the same. This is the limited edition, which contains the 4 movies, and I guess the DVDs as well, plus a rather sizable book, all in a hardbox case. It also has different cover art, as you can see here. So basically the only difference is I don't get the DVDs, I don't get the book, I don't get the limited edition artwork, but I do get all of the same on-disc content at least, so hey, that's something. I'm just glad to have them, to be perfectly honest. I didn't think I was going to get the 4-movie set in any form, so I'm still quite happy with what I got. Just mildly disappointed that I didn't get the book, because Arrow does amazing books for their limited editions. And just for completion's sake, here's the US release, which contained only the first 2 movies. Hope that clarifies any confusion and prevents any comments in the comments section saying, "Hey, that's not the limited edition, you're wrong." Yeah, I know. I found out when I was looking for pictures for this update video and discovered the different cover and stuff. So, okay, I know. It's okay. I'm fine. It's good. Anyway, see you next time.